Welcome to the Routed Designs Wood Signs channel. For all of you guys that don't know what we do here, if you're new here, as the title suggests, we make wood signs. What we do, we take a router, put down an image, carve it out with a router, freehand. We don't use no CNC machine. It's just a router and you and the board. So, which means every sign's going to be unique. You could have the same logo, and all of them are just going to be a little bit different, which makes it all that more better. Who's ever going to buy your product has got a unique sign that's just for them. No two signs will be exactly the same, and that's really the fun of it. That's the drawing point of it. But that's what we do here. Mainly, we've been trying to dabble out a little bit into other woodworking projects. I got a couple videos of doing actual woodworking projects I got lined up. We'll get those down on the channel here coming soon. So if you guys are interested in that, hit the subscribe button, like this video, share us with your friends. Today's video is going to be just a little bit different one. No sign carving here, but I have got a couple requests for asking how I lay out my image on the sign to get ready to carve. Now, there are a couple ways you can do this. You could just print out the image on your printer, get some spray adhesive, lay it down on the board, make sure it's stuck nice and good, and then you can start carving the image that way. I don't like to do that because, number one, it's a pain. You gotta sand the paper off, and it just gets way too much sanding. And everybody that's ever done anything with wood, no matter what kind of woodworking you're doing, sanding is always the worst part. So I try to eliminate as much sanding as possible. Not only that, sometimes the paper might get snagged, or the lines aren't just, you're not going to have good lines. And if you're doing really intricate work, I do not recommend that way at all. Another way I've seen people do is you get the heat paper. I'm not sure what kind of paper it is, but you can get whatever paper it is, you lay it down, you can use an iron, and it'll transfer that image to the it might be the freezer quilter paper like how I use, but I'm not sure. But you can use an iron and it'll transfer that way. That's a decent method, but again, it's just not what I do. So what I do is I'd use the quilter, or they call it freezer paper, quilter paper, you know, the paper that's glossy on one side. Mainly people use it for quilting to transfer their images that way, but it's the same concept except for we're obviously transferring to wood. Now what you're going to need is, if you want your bigger image other than the 8.5 by 11 or whatever your standard printer paper is, you're going to want to get a poster printer program where it's going to allow you to blow up your image to whatever size you need, and that way you can piece together the papers and make one bigger image. So what I use is a program called RonyaSoft, which you see it on the screen right here. All it is it's exactly what I described. So, and to me, it's the easiest way to get it done, and I've been using this program for a couple years now, and I probably would never use another program because this is all you're going to need, which you'll see here in a second. So if you're interested in this program, you're going to go to just ronyasoft.com. Well, I'm already on the poster site, so I'll show you. We'll go to ronyasoft.com. Then you'll bring to this page. They got a couple. They got DVD label makers, poster designer, poster printer. You're not going to get the poster designer. You're going to want to get the poster printer, which is this one right here with the little butterfly on it. So we'll go to there, and then you'll see this right here. So then you just scroll down. I'm not going to download it because obviously I already have it on my computer. But you're just going to, it's a free download, but I'm not sure. You might be able, on the free version, just to use the, I think maybe you can only do like one size image, like one page image of the program for free. If you want to extend your image and blow it up and make it bigger, you have to buy the license for this, which, the good thing about this, I'm pretty sure when I bought this, the license was, I think, $20. And you get it for life. So it's a one-time license for $20, and you get it for life. You use it whenever you want, however you want, and that's that. The only thing is, though, you can only have a license on one computer. So if you use multiple computers, you want to make sure you're going to have to buy a license for each computer, or just make sure that the main computer you use that's hooked up to your printer that you're going to use is the one that you put the license on. So you're going to download that. And then once you pay for your license, you'll get started. And then when you open it all up, you got it all downloaded, this is what you're going to come up on. So basically, when you open the program, you're going to see this. You're going to see the stock image that's on there. And as you guys can see, it's got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is how many sheets of paper you're going to use. So for instance, right now you could do your width height. Width is going to be 22.5 inches and 30.58 inches. So whatever you want to do, you can set the height and width to whatever size you need it. And then over here you have trim lines, glue margins, print overlap margins, which you're going to want to keep on because those allow you to cut the papers accurately to glue them together so all the lines fit up nice together. So I keep them all checked. I've basically messed with nothing on here. You open it up and it's pretty much set to where you need it to be to have a good, nice image by the time you cut it out and get it ready for your board. So you got your stock image. So what you're going to do over here, you're going to go to choose image. It'll bring up your files, which you can't see in the screen, but I'll just load up a recent one I did here, which was an Xbox logo I did for somebody. So as you can see, the image transfers on here. You got the same width and height, or you got the same width, my bad. That's another thing. If you see right here, it says keep size ratio. So what that's going to do is when you type in a width, for instance, we'll do 16 width, it'll automatically resize the image to what looks the most proportionate. Now you can click off that and do whatever other size you want, like 16 by 16. You'll see it. I don't like doing that. So then you got to play around with stretching the image and doing all that stuff. So what it recommends, keep the size ratio. It's going to do exactly what you want. So if you want a sign that's 16 inches wide, you're going to go. So if you keep the keep size ratio button clicked, it'll do the proportion that looks best for that image that you have loaded there. So this says if you do a 16 inch width, they recommend the best height is 12.78. So keep that in mind when you're making your project. Also, what I like to do is if you have a board that's 16 inches, that's the length of your board. What I would do the image or the width at 15 inches. So that way you got a little bit of play on the edge of your wood because you don't want the image stretching right to the edge of your board because obviously you want a little bit of buffer zone between the border of your wood and your image. So if you got a 16-inch board, you would do your image at 15 inches on the program here. So make sure whatever your board height or width is, you don't put your length or width or height on the program exactly the same as your board. You want to do it a little bit smaller to give you room to work, especially if you're using a router, because everybody knows you get close to the edges, then the router tips, and then you just want to leave yourself a little bit of room. So what we're going to do here, and just for example, this is going to use 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. So just to show you, you can do literally any image you want. I can do 100 inches I want. You see all those papers right there. That's 104 pages. So you can make a huge logo. And obviously this isn't just for woodworking. If you wanted to get quality like poster paper, you can make a poster, whatever you want. So this program comes in handy for literally anything you want to do if you want to blow up an image. So, but for the purposes of this video, we're just going to do, let's say 12-inch width, and it's going to recommend a 9.63-inch height. So that's what we'll do here. Now, the thing with this is you're going to want to make sure that you have your printer paper, the poster paper, I call it, but it's freezer paper or quilter's paper. You'll find it on Amazon. Just type in freezer paper for printer, and you'll have a whole list of stuff that pops up. So the first thing you'll want to make sure you have an inkjet printer, because this will not work on a laser jet printer. Don't ask me why. I think whatever the laser does, it doesn't make sure the image is transferred to the paper. So I don't really know, to be honest. Just make sure it's an inkjet printer. And then when you put your paper in, you make sure that the glossy side is facing down so that when it feeds through the printer, obviously the paper comes up and comes around so it prints on the glossy side. Another thing you guys might notice here is that my image is reversed. So that is probably the most important thing you want to remember on this, is that you make sure your image is reversed when you put it through the program, because if you put it the right way, by the time you put it down on your board, it's going to be reversed on the board. So it makes sense if you reverse it on the program. That way when it prints out and you flip it over to put on your board, the image will be the right way. You'll see what I'm talking about when we get to the laying out section. So that's all you're going to do. You're going to come over here. You're going to make sure you got your image all good. Sometimes I'll look, you see how this cutoff line on the paper is right here? Sometimes I don't like where the cutoff line is, like it's right on the edge of this B right here. So I'll come over here. This little button right here, you can orient the page from landscape or portrait. So sometimes I'll do that, which will change the layout of it, of how it prints on the paper. So you see here, that switched it to 4 pieces of paper for the same size image, and you see these 3 right here are hardly anything on the paper. So that's a waste of paper. So what we'll do is not use that way. We'll go back to portrait view, and yeah, we'll get printed. And then when we come back, I'm not going to show you the printing process. All it is it prints the paper, prints the image on the paper. When we come back, I will show you how to put the 2 papers together to make the one single image, and then we will lay it out on the board. All right, now that we got our image laid out on our paper, let's get to go into putting it together and putting it on the board. First thing you're going to want to do is just an example of the paper, as you guys can see. Get it in the light, how it's glossy right there. And then the other side, not so glossy. So you're going to want to make sure, first of all, that you do it on the glossy side, so that way when it's able to transfer when you put it down. The second thing you're going to want to start off with is, if you can see right here, that dotted line right there. So as you see the 2 papers that we got, this is page 1, page 2. Always the later paper is going to go on the first paper. So in this case, page 2 is going to hook to page 1. So that dotted line that we just saw, what we're going to do is we're going to take a razor blade. That's what I like to use, easiest thing to use. So just be careful when you're cutting it, not to cut yourself, obviously. And then you're just going to take the razor blade, go right along that line. Cut it all the way off. And then this other dotted line right here is just the outline of what your image is going to be. So I like to just take that, cut that off as well, so we get our image as close as possible. Take that off. Put this one to the side. Then all we're going to do with this one, we don't have to do any line right here to cut, but we're going to cut off that excess line. And then on this one, the one that's going to get glued to, you could see these kind of slanted lines right there. So what's going to happen with that is the one that you just cut off of the second page one, that's the one that's going to attach to the first one. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your smooth edge here, or your straight edge here, and that's going to line up directly right into the lines of the slanted ones. That way you'll get a perfect image. But first, to connect them, we are going to just take regular old masking tape. Down a little, just enough to put it on there. What we're going to do is we're going to tape it to the bottom part of this page right here, and then boom, boom. And then we'll take our other one, and you just want to make sure that your straight line right here is going to line up perfectly to the inside of kind of like right in the on the. I wish I could get it better. I can't move my camera though. You're just gonna take it, and it's gonna line up perfectly with those slanted lines. So just line up with the top. Make sure that your ink lines are gonna match up. So I just line it up at the top, and then we'll go down. Line up the bottom, make sure your letters are good. Lay it down, and then we'll press down on the tape. That way we get a nice, good line. Make sure when you press in the tape to connect the two, you're not hitting the ink part because it will get all over your finger, just like it did there on me. But then, and you see my X is a little bit messed up now, so you got to be careful about that, but that's all right. We'll fix it. Okay, so now that these two, you can see how it's connected on where the line met up. So we'll get our board, we'll lay it down just like this. Make sure, what you want to do right now too, when you're laying that down, you want to make sure you pre-sand your board with at least 120 grit, so that way it's all nice and smooth. All the burrs and the roughness of your wood is going to be smooth, because when you lay that image down, you're going to want it to be smooth as possible, so you get the best lines. Especially if you got intricate work where lines need to be as tight as possible, you need to make sure that this wood is sanded down as much as you can to make it nice and smooth, so that when you lay it down, it'll be nice and good to go. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to line this up. You're going to want to put your position, make sure you know where your sign's going to go, or your image is going to go on your wood if you haven't cut out the final dimensions already, like I haven't here. This is just one big piece of wood. I'll lay it out and then I'll cut it. So this, I'm just going to use the edge of my paper and put it right with the edge of the board. So that way I'll have a perfect match and I don't have to worry about straightening it out. So what I'll do is I'll line it with the edge of the board. Make sure it's right just like that. Edge of the board touching the edge of the paper. So we'll take our masking tape. Put it right here. Tape the top to the board so it doesn't move on you. And if you want, you can put one on the bottom and kind of just fold it over. That way it doesn't move on you again. And then this next step is probably the simplest of it all. All you got to do is take your fingers and just rub back and forth over wherever you see ink or wherever your ink's going to be. So take our fingers, rub along the whole thing. And then especially you want to make sure where you tape the two parts together, you want to get in there and you just kind of want to give it a little extra, pay attention to that a little bit extra more, especially trying to get in those seams a little bit better, because those lines, you'll see what I mean when I take it off, those lines tend to don't fill in all the way, but it's an easy fix. I'll show you. And then once you just rubbed it with your hand, what I like to do, I'll just take the roll of tape and then I'll just rub it back and forth just like that. Pretty simple process. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Just a couple times, make sure it's nice and transferred. And then you can lift and peek to see if you're good. Looks like we're pretty good, so we'll just take the tape, take it off, and boom, there's your image. Straight from the paper, straight to the board. All right, so like I said, those lines, they'll, where those seams meet, you'll have like a line where you'll have to correct, as you can see right here and just right here on the B. So what we're going to do, we're just going to take a regular old pencil. We're just going to take a regular old pencil and we'll just fill those lines in, make it easier. Because when you're carving, it's really easy to get going, and then basically the rule of thumb when you're carving a sign is anything that's black gets carved out. So if you got like a space in your image where it's light, you might not carve it out because you're used to carving just black. So, and then you'll get done and you're like, oh man, I missed that. And then you got to go back and it's just a pain in the butt. So we'll just fill it in. Pretty simple. Literally just like your coloring. Not much to it. Fill it in. And then this little part where we smudge the X, we'll just, not hard, we'll redo it. And kind of do the same thing. Cover it in. That's the key thing. Don't touch the ink when it's on the paper, or else you'll be having to do more filling in when it's done. But just like that, as you can see, the line's pretty much colored in. You'll know which part to carve. X looks good. And then there's your image on the board, ready to get cut to dimension, and you're ready to get off carving. So there you guys go. Simple process, easy to do. Print it out, get your image, put it on the board. I mean, not much to it after that, but a few people have been asking how you get it done, and this is probably the most simple way to do it. But I will say, however, like I said before, you need to make sure that your image is flipped before you print it out so that it flips up the right way. When you lay it on the board, make sure that you do it on the glossy side of the paper, because there's been more than once where I put the paper in wrong and it prints out and I'm like, oh man, and then you gotta, and then it's just a pain in the butt that way. So everything you can do to eliminate the mistakes before you get the carving is always a good, because it just makes everything so much easier. So once again, that program that I used was Rania Soft Poster Printer. I'll leave the link in the description. Those guys are not a sponsor. Obviously, I only have like 160 subscribers, so I don't think they're sponsoring me anytime soon. But hey, Rania Soft, if you want to, go ahead. You can sponsor me because your product's pretty good. But yeah, pretty simple as that. I'm sure there's other poster printer programs that you guys can get out there, but this is just the one that I found that works good for me. And why fix it if it ain't broke? So if you guys like this video, give this a like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and if you guys want to see more long-form videos like this instead of just sped up sign work, let me know in the comments how to lay out your sign, cut your wood down, or maybe you guys just want to see me carve a sign in real time where it's not sped up, maybe like that, and just talk about experiences of what happened and just any sort of long-term video here. So this is the first tutorial of anything that I've done. Usually it's just sped up videos with music. So if you guys are interested in more of this type of stuff, like I said, subscribe, leave a like on this video, and stay tuned for more woodworking type stuff, which the table that you guys seen me lay out the sign on, it's an outfeed table I built for my table saw, and it's a pretty much a bigger table that allows me to work on, get a little bit more space, and I have a video that I filmed of making that, so that'll be on the channel soon. So if you guys like this, like I said, once again, give it a like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and let me know in the comments what you thought of the video.